rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
And good morning. So this is Terry and Trey and Mike, and this is Get It Right Texoma.
That's right, with the Texoma Trio.
That's right. Now, we're not live this morning because we are recording this on Thursday before the holiday, so we're going to play it live so that we're consistent. But 7:30 Friday morning, you'll see this, and so good morning from that.
And by the way, so happy 4th of July.
Yes, happy 4th.
Or as my English wife says, happy Traitors Day.
Okay, there you go.
She is an American, but she was born in England and raised in England. So yeah, she said in England that's what they called it. They call this Traitors Day.
Traitors Day.
Yeah,
okay.
This is the Traitors Day.
All right, Terry McAdams, Trey Strala, Mike Hendren, our friend in the sky and heaven, and he's overseeing us all the time. We know he's there, and we want you to know. We don't want to forget him, man, because we wouldn't be where we are without Mike. Seriously, we wouldn't have had that opportunity. We're here to inform and hopefully entertain you a little bit, and we're going to cover news and happenings at all levels, whether that's local, state, national, international, and as Mike likes to say, intergalactic.
That's right. Absolutely.
So,
like you said, we have great guests that'll join us in the studio. You can catch us every week on Friday mornings at 7:30 Central Time.
So yes.
We are streaming this, but the good news is you can check out our archives and see all the past programs that we've had and that sort of thing, or you could catch up. If you don't catch us live, you could catch up. Also, we'd encourage you to jump in, not today, but most days, jump in and participate, because Terry will be monitoring the comments and that sort of thing. Yep. And then also hit the like and subscribe button. Does that sound right, Terry?
Yes, like and subscribe.
Like
yes, there you go.
Yeah. So anyhow, check us out every Friday morning, 7:30 Central Time, and with great guests. And then today, we do have a very special guest. As you can see, Jennica Lambert will be in with Riverbend Nature Center.
There, yeah. We'll just have her come on in when she shows up and get her on there. And so, anyway, but we're sponsors. We MacTech Solutions. We're here in the MacTech Solutions studios. That sounds like we have a ton of them. We have actually one, and we're in it. And we're here. We're here for you and any of your Apple stuff. We're both an authorized service provider and a reseller, a dealer. We sell new. And so if you need your Apple stuff fixed, we are here. And if you want to buy something new. But then we have...
Yeah, it does, because it does sound strange when you say a reseller.
I know, that's the term.
It sounds like you're selling you stuff.
I know, that's the term in the industry.
It's the Apple term.
No. Other in the technology world, that is very common.
Is it really?
Yes, Apple authorized reseller or blah 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 reseller. The other ones will be. We used to be called dealers way back. I wasn't a dealer, but before.
Right. That to me is in our industry. It's a dealer.
I know.
You're a dealer. You're an authorized dealer.
I get it. But anyway, it's just the words. So that's why I always explain. But we got Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott, and they're here. He's got mowers too, man. And I got
very few left.
Well.
Yeah, we're about out for the season. So if you want to jump on down, we also do have the new robo mowers, the Crest. Robo mowers. They're like a Roomba for your yard.
Ooh.
And so anyhow, it's an interesting concept there. We've got a couple of them out in the field, and so I'm not going full guns a-blazing yet, because I want to make sure that they're working well. Yeah. So far, what we have is pretty neat. We have one that's set up at our store that takes care of the yard beside our big building, and it does a good job.
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, we're all both business owners, local business owners, and truly local. We're here, local, live here, everything, and so we certainly appreciate your support as being. Now, of course, we have to earn it. Don't. We want you to support us, but because we've earned it, and I think that makes a big difference. We know we have to earn that every day. Not the big companies, that person you're dealing with. Not that they're not good people, and sometimes we have to deal with national companies. But please try to give us a shot. So
that's right.
All right. So
like you said, Jennica Lambert's coming in, but our first thing we normally do is a restaurant focus.
Yes.
And this is a new restaurant, so none of us have tried this yet.
Yes.
Because they open up today, as you're watching this. I believe their start date was July 4th. It's called Ruby City Burger Seafood Restaurant.
A burger seafood restaurant.
That's
Burger
right.
seafood.
And
Burger seafood.
that's
okay,
right.
no.
Yeah.
But burgers
And-
and seafood.
And
So,
so what they're going to focus on is seafood, Chinese food, and home-style cooking as well.
okay.
Chan and Navin are the owners.
Okay.
And that's where the Highlander was downtown.
Yes.
I drove by the other day. I saw a sign that said "Coming Soon Ruby City Restaurant." So I thought, what the heck? I'll call and ask them. I called and talked to Chan and just told him, hey, we have a podcast here, and we're trying to do a local restaurant focus. And so what the heck? I talked to him for a little while. He sounded like he's very competent. They do have, they already have restaurants. I think they have a restaurant in Oklahoma as well. So it's not like this is just some brand new startup venture here.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'm sure they do a good job. So go check them out, give them a little bit of business, and give them a try. That's the biggest thing. You gotta give them a try.
Right across from Big Blue. That's what, an apartment now, and it's a restaurant down below.
It was the old Holiday Inn for many, many years,
Okay.
and they've converted it to apartments.
Yeah.
And there's student apartments from Midwestern State, and there's also non-student apartments.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, all right. Well, then other local happenings.
Yep.
We got the farmers market Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning farmers market. Okay, I know that July 8th, next Tuesday, between 8 and 1.
And this is an ongoing thing. They're going to have farmers markets, I believe, every Tuesday. Now, this is the farmers market on, I was going to say downtown, but they're both downtown.
But it's on Austin. Okay.
It's
Austin
not
Street.
the farmers market that is on Indiana, Ohio Street.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go.
Okay, so there was a farmer's market, and then there was some sort of split, and so they have the downtown farmer's market and like the Wichita Falls farmer's market or something like that. So this is the one on Austin that is kind of the newer farmer's market.
Okay, gotcha. And then on Thursday, what do we got going?
Then we have the art walk, the after-hours art walk, which is downtown. Lots of neat stuff. I mean, it's pretty amazing to go to an art walk and see all of what's going on downtown Wichita Falls. It reminds me of some of the pictures that you see from the past where the streets were just full. You could look and you can actually recognize some of the buildings downtown, but people had their fedoras and everybody's dressed up in their finest. Now people go in flip-flops and board shorts and that sort of thing. But anyhow, it's amazing how many people show up down there. Lots of vendors, food vendors, artists, people selling little knickknacks, musicians, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's a downtown art walk. It's the second Thursday of the month, I believe, every month.
Second Thursday of the month, okay. And try to get my cursor going up there, but it's not there. But what's the next thing we
we're
got
talking
going?
about data centers. You want
Data
to talk about
centers,
that a bit?
okay. So data centers, so we have, the higher electricity rates, okay. So because of putting on a huge load on the grid, that's one of the criticisms of the article that we had read about, and it basically just something to think about. That so if you don't know, as a business owner anyway, we get exposed to as an electricity customer, we get exposed to demand. Load demand increase.
Unfortunately, Terry exposes himself quite often.
No, well, hey. So, but
that's the court order, but maybe that's a different day there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, basically, what happens is that let's see if I can explain this well. So, Encore in our case, they're responsible for the lines. They're responsible for delivery of the electricity.
They're the infrastructure.
Right.
They're the nuts and bolts. They're the mechanical stuff.
Right. And so they have to make contracts with various providers around the country.
Resellers.
Or resell. Yes, there you go.
And actually, it is a true reseller.
Yeah, there you go. So but they have to make contracts with various power companies, and of course, Texas is on its own grid. But basically, in order for you to make sure that we have electricity available, they have to make those contracts, and that when demand occurs, in other words, when somebody flips a switch, there's not a store. It's not stored anywhere. It's on demand.
Right.
And so as soon as you flip that switch, or you open your business, you start flipping the lights, or you start that piece of equipment or whatever, there's a demand, an immediate demand at the speed of light, literally. The power requirements go up, and they have to make sure that these other sources are available. And when it goes high demand, then it obviously demand creates a cost increase. And so, but it's also it's about standby, being in standby, ready to go. They have to get those contracts. And so if these data centers are using up a lot of the infrastructure, using up that demand, being prepared.
The bandwidth. There's only so much.
So they have to spread that cost in some ways.
So in other words, it's similar to bandwidth. You are limited by physical limitations.
Right.
That electrical line can only carry so much. It can't carry an unlimited amount of.
Well, it's that too, right? But the hope is, of course, that demand. I mean, when they built the buildings, that they know they've anticipated that it's the source that they
That's
have.
What I mean, the electrical line that's going to the building that's coming from somewhere does have physical limitations.
Well, it does, but it's the source. So there's more theoretically. Sometimes there's more paths, because obviously in one part of the country, well, in this case it's Texas, the state. It may be super hot in one part of the state and not as hot in another, and so then you end up having an increased demand. Of course, I can see where, again, Texas is big, but as the sun rotates, it's not the sun, but as the Earth rotates, you got heat, and all the demand is going to be in the beginning and versus the end. Anyway, it's very complicated, way beyond what I have full knowledge of.
Put it this way: Texas has 2 time zones.
Yes,
there's
the little part of
El Paso.
Right, but they're on a different grid, by the way. But
they're in a different time zone.
Yeah,
so Texas is big enough to where there's actually most of Texas is in the central time zone.
Yeah,
but El Paso, and there's a portion of Texas that's in the mountain time zone.
Yep, there you go. So, but anyway, all this is to say that clearly at some point some of that cost may be spread among other businesses and individuals, and so the increase in the demand raises the price, even though it's not us individually that's driving that.
And I think what some of the new concept is right now is that when a data center goes in, that they actually build their own electrical plant.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Which, by the way, if you have anybody who says that they love the environment but they have no interest in exploring nuclear power, they're full of crap.
Yeah.
That is the cleanest, most efficient way to do it. And it's very, I mean, we have submarines.
Right.
We have people who live, okay, you talk about the test. So we have people who live in such a confined area that if you go outside, you will die, or you can't even open a door. You can't even get outside.
Yep.
And they live inside something that is powered 100% by nuclear all the time.
Yep.
And none of them grow third arms or weird legs or anything like that.
Yeah. Well,
and they've been doing it for years.
Yep. Well, yeah, and all those protections, everything. Actually, the Navy was trying to recruit me into the nuclear power plant program. I'm like, no, I'm not going on a ship for months or a submarine. Now, of course, they can't force you to be a submariner, I guess. But that's true. Now, so that's what a lot of these plants, though, are. One of the things they're looking at doing in these data centers is actually putting in these micro nuclear plants.
Right, exactly. They're building their own nuclear plant real close to the data center.
So that's kind of cool.
The data center that's supposed to go in close to Burke, that was the theory.
Man,
they bought enough land to be able to build their own
will there be a day when you could have your own nuclear plant?
I think so.
Could it be affordable?
Where people will have their own micro? Yeah. Well, at least I think what'll happen, it'll be neighborhoods. I think it'll start with that. Maybe cities, towns, and then neighborhoods. So like a developer will go in and build a neighborhood, and that neighborhood will have its own mini power plant at the end of the street or something.
Well, somebody will have somebody, of course, will have the money to do it, because most of us in the beginning, the technology is so expensive in a lot of cases that we can't afford it. Like I can't, middle class can't, but ultimately that'll be cool.
Well, you think about it. Look at the journey of the computer.
Yeah.
When the computer first came out, the computer as we know it.
Oh yeah.
The UNIVAC, it was the size. It would fit.
Is this room
a huge room?
Right.
Yeah, it fit into a big room. Now there's more.
Oh yeah, there's way more power in your calculator than probably a UNIVAC.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going that direction. It's going to continue to go that direction, and so I think it's going to be interesting to see. But I also know that I was looking at a legislative roundup, which, by the way, next week we're going to go through our legislative roundup.
Okay.
And James Frank is going to be in, and we're going to do your legislative roundup beforehand so we can ask him questions and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did see that I believe it's either a Senate bill or a House bill passed that will allow the entity, I guess it's, I don't know if it's the Texas Electric Commission, I'm not sure who it is, to actually shut down data mining data centers if there's a massive load on the grid. To be able to shut those things down. In lieu of it affecting homeowners.
Right.
Or people at their houses.
Give priority to our homeowners. Yeah. Which I think is fair too, but they also have to understand they're gonna have to kick in the power plant, because that's really for backup.
Right.
But yes. So cool. Well then, what's next here?
Well, right now,
the big beautiful bill. Yes.
Literally
as we
speak.
speak.
While we speak, they're debating right now. When I watched last time I checked, Hakeem Jeffries was basically filibustering on the floor, trying to delay the vote. It does look like the Republicans are going to come up with enough votes to pass
the
this
latest
thing.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of a lot of the stuff that's in it.
Right.
I'm not a fan of these mega bills. I do not like the mega spending bills, tax bills, and that sort of thing. I think every bill should be written to stand on its own.
Yep.
Every bill should be written on I think you should come up and say every bit of bill should be written on one page or 2 pages or something along those lines, to where
it's simple
and written at a 6th or 7th grade reading level.
Yeah.
Where the average person can figure it out. These big omnibus bills, as they're called, these mega bills, what happens is they throw stuff in and nobody can read it. Famously, Nancy Pelosi said, you gotta pass it to be able to know what's in it. And Lisa Murkowski apparently has gotten something thrown in, but the problem is all these people in Congress, they get these little special carve-outs and that sort of thing thrown in, and it becomes a cluster.
Yeah.
Not a fan of it. I am a fan of the tax cuts. I am a fan of a lot of the things that are in the bill. I'm just not a fan of it going this direction.
Sure. Well, yeah, and that's but now here's what I kind of see here is that they've gone along with the way they've been doing things for all these years, and no, there's still an increase in the debt, national debt, or the deficit, I should say, which is also an increase in the debt. And so then we've got that, but I think this is the next step. Now, how long will it be? It doesn't seem like a big effort to try to get a balanced budget. Yeah, those words have hardly been spoken.
Yeah, which makes you sick. At least the state of Texas has to. But yeah, they'll in the end. Yeah. We'll see how this plays out. It looks like it's going to pass no matter what. But I am not a fan of the mega bill concept of anything. Yeah, I think they need to stand on their own. They need to stand their own merit. People quit throwing crap in because it becomes basically a cesspool of bullshit.
Yeah,
is what happens. And whether you like it or not, or whether you're for or against a certain part of it, that's what it becomes. And
we know what that smells like in Texas. So
there you go. You want to bring our guest in since she's here?
We can. Yes, absolutely. Come on in.
We're actually just rolling. We're not going to be live. We're not live today.
Okay. Yeah,
but we're normally live and streaming.
Okay.
So we're just going to bring guests in as they come in.
Did it start at 8?
No, 8 o'clock.
Yes.
How are you doing?
Okay.
All right.
Y'all are early. It just turned 8.
Yes, I know. Well, we wanted to get you on.
We've been trying to start at 7:30 and doing some of our regular stuff, and then bring our guests in.
Yeah. Okay, that makes me feel better.
Our special guest is Jennica Lambert.
Jennica.
Hi.
With
Riverbend Nature Center.
I wasn't pointing at her boobs. I was trying to get her to promote herself there.
Yeah, but we could have our the improv here. You could practice.
Yeah,
if
I
you didn't
regret
know,
not putting on more makeup, but here we are. I remember it being darker.
Yeah. So.
You look great. So, Jennica, tell everybody who you're with.
Yes.
I am with Riverbend Nature Center.
Okay.
We are an all-native, with some minor exceptions, nature center located right here in Wichita Falls, Texas. So.
Yeah, it's a big, beautiful building.
It's
right
several
here.
Buildings. It's 3 or 4 buildings.
But if you're driving down Seymour Highway, Fifth Street, depends on what you call it. Mm-hmm. If you look over to the right, you'll see this big building that doesn't look like it's in place there in Wichita Falls.
It's a lot of glass.
Yep, now a little less. So we got we have we're actually, our building's under construction, so we're renovating our conservatory and the surrounding areas to make them more accessible, and putting in some new exhibits. It's going to be real exciting. Hopefully it'll be done in August, maybe, unless we discover some sort of graveyard. I don't know, man. So I'm really hoping that Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm really excited for it to be over.
All right.
So tell everybody what the mission of Riverbend Nature Center is.
So our mission is to connect people to the natural environment of Texas, and we do that every day. We're open 360 days out of the year. We reached over 44,000 people last year. Over 18,000 of those people were children.
Yes.
And 51% of our people are from outside of Wichita Falls. So we're a community, or not only are we a community hub, but we're a regional hub for environmental education. And we love what we do. We never have the same day twice.
You know, and it's so important to have this because what people don't understand is on the education side, experiences mean a lot.
They do.
Kids who have experiences, who've been to a zoo, been to a nature center, been to a something or other, get to go out in the country, they understand things more when it's brought up in science class. Kids that have never been outside their little plot of land, their yard, and the craziest thing they've ever seen is a cockroach or something like that, they don't really understand. They don't get the concept of the environment or the science part of it. And so all this exposure, and this is a great way that there's kids, this is so accessible.
Yes.
Because you don't have to drive. We don't have a zoo in Wichita Falls.
No.
You know, you don't have to drive to Dallas. You don't have to drive to Oklahoma City. You can go right here to Riverbend Nature Center. You can look at a snake. You could touch a snake. You could touch a rat. You could touch a whatever.
We have 2 rats. We've just got cookies and cream. Oh my God, they're so cute. I know that sounds crazy, but it's not.
Cookies and cream.
So most nature centers are like a log cabin with a turtle in the corner. We have one of the one of the largest nature centers and one of the most advanced nature centers in the United States. And I'm not just saying that. I've just Google it.
Okay. Well, I just had
Google
a thought.
her right.
Just Google it.
Yeah, I just had a thought. Next time, can you bring
I can bring
an animal?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know if I've ever done that before.
No, but you
Usually
could
there's
be.
Usually it was on the
8 a.m.
radio. Well, usually it also was on the
You
radio.
can't
It was on the
see
radio.
this,
Yeah.
but I'm holding
on the
a
radio.
snake.
Jenica's longtime guest
Yes,
on
on
the
the
radio.
radio.
as well. And it
But
didn't-
we're
didn't
gonna
quite
have
translate as well on
No.
the radio.
No, but we're no longer on the radio.
Yeah,
We've
I don't think I ever have. Yeah. No.
yeah. So, but you could be like you may be too young. You didn't watch Johnny Carson. You didn't.
I know who Johnny
You
Carson
know,
is.
okay,
I
you
did
know who
not
it is.
watch it
But
live.
there was Joan Embry, and there was another. Yeah, and then
there was the guy who.
then
the
there
weird
was a
dude.
guy
Yeah.
that came on, and he from the I forget which zoo it was, but San Diego Zoo.
Something like that.
Yeah,
And he would
so-
bring these crazy animals.
Oh
back
yeah,
in.
and so you
I
could
have
be
seen
our
clips
local
of this.
Yeah.
person that brings
Yeah, I
stuff.
could bring some stuff, have a lizard leap onto your chest, have you fall off a set, we could make some viral videos.
I've seen a lot more lizards at my place this year than I have really since the other 9 years that I've lived out there.
Yeah, they're really,
Is there more of a lizard population growth?
anytime you
or-
have lots of rain, usually it corresponds with an increase in insect growth, which is what they eat. So you'll see populations adjust accordingly. So you'll see more birds, you'll see more lizards, you'll see everything that's tied to that particular.
So how are we doing on the horned toad,
That won't really improve until we stop killing red harvester ants and getting rid of their habitat.
which is then why? Okay, and what are we doing that causes that?
Building existing dairy.
Well,
Well, and also fire ants don't help that either.
Yes.
Because fire
Yeah.
ants.
Right.
So if you can, you might disagree with me on this. I will kill fire
No,
ant
you
mounds
should
on my
murder.
place.
You should murder fire
Yes,
ants.
yeah, I
Because
will.
they- yeah.
I have fire
They're
ant
invasive.
killer.
They're from Brazil, and that will tie into our wonderful
Right.
next thing we're going
And I have a huge red ant pile. I mow around it. I do
we have
everything
one.
I
We have
can
one
to keep my red ants on my place
Yes.
going, and it's a very prominent area and that sort of thing. And so, you're right. That's where the critters come out and they feed.
Yeah.
But I will kill fire ants
You should.
anywhere I
They
can because
compete with the same resources that harvester ants do, and a lot of people don't understand there's a difference, even though they look nothing alike. Not all
Yeah.
ants are fire
Oh,
ants. So they're like several times larger. Just like Google red ant, harvester ant, you'll see. They don't look anything alike.
No.
They can sting, but they're not aggressive. So
Right.
fire ants will swarm you.
Oh,
and
gosh.
just
Oh,
with
yeah.
no. Just I was pulling a weed yesterday, and there was one on me. It's stinging. Yeah.
you don't know because they're so small
Yeah.
you don't feel them
Yeah.
until there's a
Until-
whole
I
ton
felt
of them
it.
on there.
I felt it.
Yeah.
I don't feel them crawling on me.
Oh,
what I'm saying
no.
is
I felt
I'm
the
there,
sting.
and then all of a sudden they all sting at once or something like that. And holy crap!
You're standing there and your ankles start, and it's like, wait a minute, it's starting to get hot.
Yeah.
and so,
That's the
no,
thing,
those
you don't
are
feel.
ants.
I don't feel them
Horrible.
crawling on me. I just feel them when they sting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was in Jamaica, went on a cruise a few years ago, and we were in Jamaica walking around, and I noticed these little ants or some sort of bug, and they were fast. These things, I mean, Fire ants, they move, but these things, man, they're like,
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
literally.
lots of different ants.
So,
David
but anyway.
Attenborough, the famous naturalist that's what he studies. That's his thing. He loves ants. And there's thousands of different species.
I remember as a kid, I had an ant.
Wow.
I had a little ant farm in a little thing. It was this thin little thing you could see through, and you could see where they're
That was a
burrowing.
popular thing in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, red harvester ant colonies can live over 25 years. The queen can live 25 years, which is a big chunk of time. Same thing with female tarantulas. And their colonies are extensive. They go down deep into the ground. So if you've ever seen people pour aluminum into extinct, ant hills, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And then excavate it, and there's all these chambers. They're incredibly organized.
Oh yeah.
They have places where they store their food, where they raise their young, where they put their waste, where they I don't know, hang out. Honestly, we don't know, Terry. We don't know.
And then they can carry they can carry
how much
the little disco ball hanging is the indication.
This is our party room.
Yeah.
You're only allowed in here if you're at least 2 weeks old.
and they can carry so much times their weight
100 times their weight.
100 times.
Yeah, I was telling we were reading this bug book by Dr. Seuss, and that's one of the facts in there. And I was like, my daughter, I was like, Raylan, could you carry 30 of you? Or I can't even remember, but it was, or me and Dad. Yeah, I think it was 10 times your weight, 30 times your weight was. But exciting.
Wow.
Sorry, I got excited.
Pretty
It's
amazing.
10 times their weight.
10 times. Well,
Which is
still.
a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You try that. Yeah.
Well, you just look at all the things, like bugs are fascinating, whether you like bugs or don't like bugs.
We have to have them to live.
When you have a bug,
it
say you
doesn't
have
really matter if you like them or not.
a beetle that was sitting on this table, and he drops off the end of that table and hits the ground, he's going to get up and walk that way.
Yeah, man.
That would be the equivalent of you jumping off Big Blue, hitting the ground. You ain't walking away.
No, you're going to be crushed.
No.
You're going to be severely paralyzed.
So what is going on at Riverbend Nature Center? We know about Riverbend Nature Center, so what's special going on?
Okay, so y'all...
Other than your smiling face being there all the time.
Me running around like, oh, God! It's just what I feel like I normally... Not really.
Did anybody see the cobra?
Yeah, no joke. I was pulling up my phone because we have a ton of events. So we've got summer camps going on right now. So our next one is Wild Critters, and I think we have like 4 spots left for that. So if you have a 6 to 12...
So get on it.
That you're like, sweet Jesus, I need you out of my home. And they're into animals. This is the
And doing something productive.
Yes, constructive, learning about their environment. They're going to come home and teach you about armadillos. I don't know.
Armadillos.
With some armadillo facts. Y'all know any armadillo facts?
They are
huge claws.
they're a rodent, right? Or not?
I don't think so.
No, they're not a rodent.
They bark.
Oh,
They bark?
they bark.
They
Similar
bark.
to a dog. Yeah. So so let me give you a little armadillo thing.
Okay, I'm ready.
So armadillos are really fast
Yes.
when they're on flat land, but they're not very fast on terraced land because they have really long or short legs. So a friend of mine we used to have a lot of armadillos at his place, and we'd go out to the terrace land and we'd chase them out. They'd get going out across the humps. You go out there and you pop them in the butt and they'll ball up.
Yeah.
So one day, my 13, 14-year-old brilliant self, I thought,
Before we had video games?
yeah, I'm going to pick one up. So I ran up behind it and grabbed it by the middle and picked it up. Now, when you see that, all of a sudden, these claws, you see these massive claws that you've never seen before, and it hissed and barked, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't want any of that.
No, they always give birth to quadruplets, which is fun. They can swim. They usually go sink to the bottom and then just kind of trollop around along the bottom of the river. I wouldn't recommend throwing a 9-banded armadillo into a waterway, but you could, I guess. It would be fine. And we have the 9-banded around here. So they can't truly go into a circle, but they can get pretty close. And that hard shell is covered in skin. It's all bone. So they generally get hit by cars because when they are frightened, they do this.
And they have bad eyesight, is that correct?
They're very blind.
That's why they get hit. They get scared when a car comes by. They jump up in the air and then
they're insectivores. All they spend their whole time just trying to look for grubs in the ground. So if you have them in your yard, it's because you have an insect problem, or I say problem. You have insects in your yard that they're eating. So, which aren't bad. I mean, it's just we live in their world, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So if we want to see more wildlife, we need to do things that are conducive to bringing wildlife to our yard. So planting native plants and making sure you have some sort of water source, making sure you don't poison everything. Basics. So yeah, I think a lot of people think all insects bad insects, but
No.
yeah.
Well, and the same with snakes. Snakes. There's some snakes that could kill us, but then
they're all copper-headed rattle
Terry,
moccasins.
your cat can kill you. Your cat is more likely to kill you. I'm serious.
And by the way,
your big screen TV is more likely to kill you than the snake.
Let me tell you here. Let me go off on this a little bit. All this thing that everybody thinks your cat loves you.
Oh,
They're just
Die in your house.
Yeah.
And they will find you eating by
that's
your
what
cat
I've-
at some
yes.
point.
They only wait a day. Like
Yeah.
I think dogs will wait at least 5 days until you start smelling kind of ripe. But like cats are like, all right, I'm starting on the toes.
Yeah.
I've been looking at these things for
Yeah.
years. Yeah, not to be trusted.
So anyhow, so we got four slots left in
Yes.
camp, and
Yes.
they contact you or contact
Yeah, you can sign up
Riverbend.
on the website, riverbendnaturecenter.org. Make sure
Okay.
you're at this one and not in the 9 other river bends that are around the world. Just type in Wichita Falls. It'll
We should
come
just
up.
call it the Riverbend
Yeah,
Nature
well, no,
Center.
why don't
Almost
Wichita
like
Nature Center?
The Ohio
Yeah.
State University. So
Yeah, we have a bunch, and a lot of them have the shorter acronyms. So we have all the long stuff like at riverbendnaturecenter.org. It could just be RB&C, man. But it's
so what's the phone number over there?
It's 940-767-0843. The same number I put on my children's birthday invitations because I am an idiot.
And, the,
I
and
RSVP to my job. Yeah. So.
we'll sign up while you're there, right?
Yeah.
All right. What else we got?
So we also have we have programs for adults and children. So our summer camp program obviously is for children. Maybe one day we'll have one for adults. I don't know.
Yeah. So
but,
if you try to sign up for and you're an adult, you're creepy.
will not
yeah, they're
be
going to call
allowed.
they're going to call the
Yeah.
police.
look at technology.
Look
see?
at
I
that.
can show the phone
Yeah,
number
right
live.
It's
You
like
know.
some graphics.
Yeah.
Well, we're working on
No,
it.
no, he's
so
scooching. Okay, we're
can
good.
See, we can move that down a little bit there.
We also have a sip and science program, and we have
So
one
what?
a sip and science.
Sip
program.
and psych. Okay, what's that?
You drink a beverage and you learn about something fun. So in this case, we're going to have Alex come in. She's a local master naturalist, and she's going to be talking about the native status of plants. So if you've ever been outside and you're like, man, what's an invasive plant? What's a native plant? Why does it matter? How does it disrupt ecosystems? Why is it important to plant just native? What are things that are just really good at living here that aren't native? Or the pros and cons of putting that in your yard. Like I found out recently about Mexican vitex, and I'm really sad because I love the plant so much, but I'm still going to plant it because it's awesome. Anyway,
I have Vitex. I love them.
I love it.
They're
So
awesome.
pretty. Does really well here. It's from like Europe, but it's fine. So there is lots of things that have pros and cons, but it's a wonderful nectar source. So I mean, you can weigh that and kind of
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My when they're in bloom, you'll walk up to them and you'll hear the bees, and it looks like looks like the bush is moving because there's so many bees
It's
in
so
there. It's
cool. And
amazing.
that's what we need to do. We need to be supporting our local ecosystem and how you can do that with pretty plants. So this is 21 and up. It's July 18th. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. It includes all you can drink and eat. We should charge more. We don't. So it's $25 a person.
And the drink is
$20 a person.
what?
If you're a member. We have an assortment of beer. Terry.
Oh, so it's okay.
We
So it's
have
going to
the White
be
Claws.
adult beverages.
Yes.
Okay.
Which are my personal favorite. But there's also Coors, and I think we have Miller and I don't know, Michelob. But don't quote me on this. It's a variety of beers. But usually there's some sort of like Dos Equis or variety, therefore, of that. And then we have a white wine and a red wine. So we keep it sort of simple. And then we usually tie the food in with the theme. So it's going to be the 18th of July.
18th of July.
So coming up in 2 weeks on a Friday, I believe. So good. They're fun.
So be sure that you have yourself a designated driver, right? Because it is alcohol.
We don't go
Designated
that
drunk?
hard. We have
Okay.
a
no.
TABC certified bartender that puts it out. And, her name's Erica. She works for us too. She's also our education director. I also got my TABC certified thingy, so I could. It's ridiculously easy.
What is this now?
You just go online and
What are we getting?
To be a bartender.
$14.
Oh, to be a
certified
bartender.
yeah,
Oh.
to recognize the signs of alcohol
Yeah,
poisoning.
well,
and
I had when I first got here.
teenagers in disguise specifically is the main focus of it.
When I first got here, I volunteered for.
Yeah, you walk in a diaper. You
Yeah.
can't buy, right?
Yeah.
What's the big? Oh shoot! That was a big. I can't even think what it was. It was a big fundraiser. They did it at the Impact, not the Impact, but what's the
Ag Barn?
The Ag Barn, and oh my gosh,
The
it's
wine festival?
no,
St. Patrick's Day.
no, it's a boot thing or not boot.
Oh, Cowboy True.
No, it was maybe it was Cowboy True. It was one of these big
Like,
events.
you got me boots. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
Well, anyway, I volunteered for it, but they were serving alcohol,
Yeah.
and I had to go through training, and you can be legally held liable even if you're volunteering for somebody who gets drunk
No,
if you're serving.
There is no such thing as personal liability in the state of Texas. So if you get served by somebody like at a wedding, for example, so why BYOB events are very, I wouldn't recommend them.
Right.
Because you just throw them back, and they're responsible because they're the host. They should have let you drink.
Right.
They should, and even though they're not certified in any way, they're
Right.
technically liable if you get
Right.
into an
Exactly.
accident.
Yep.
So I don't know how that I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that. But I just warn everybody. I'm like, just don't. We don't do BYOB events in Riverbend for that reason. So everything is served by somebody who can watch you.
Yes,
There
and
you
then
go.
and I had to turn somebody down.
Did you?
So,
Were
yep.
you like, sorry, Trey?
Yeah, that's it.
You
That's
had
me,
a few too many White Claws.
Yeah. I said I'm doing this for free, and we're done.
It's not worth it. You
Oh,
can go to Kara over there. She'll look you up. You know?
Yeah.
I've been a bouncer before. That is the worst job in the world.
Oh, I can only imagine.
There's nothing
I would sit on
worse.
people.
There's nothing worse than being stone cold sober, being around a bunch of drunk people, especially when they've been told they've had too much, or they've been told they need to leave, or they're getting a little loud, and you have to go up there and explain to them that they need to quiet down, or we're going to leave. And it's always fun when somebody bows up to you and you go, "Look, you're walking out."
Yeah.
Or you're leaving. You
Yeah.
can walk out, or you can be drug out, but you are going to leave. The decision's already been made, and it's no longer in your hands.
It's a private establishment.
So it's your choice.
You're definitely not entitled when you're on somebody else's property.
Absolutely not. So
Let's all make good choices. DWIs are both irresponsible and very expensive.
there you go. Yep. Brought to you by Jennica
Riverbend
Lambert.
Nature Center. No, seriously, be
The more
responsible.
you know.
I'm scarred. When we were in high school, we learned about that one girl who was like trapped in a car, and she advocates for drinking and driving, for not doing that, and she's just like a human scar tissue. And
wow.
I wake up to that, man. Like,
You were scared straight.
No, I wasn't really tempted in the first place,
No.
but I'm like, if that's what can happen if you do that, like, why would you?
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
So what's next on the docket with Riverbend?
Oh man! Besides opening up, we're gonna have I want to have a huge party. I'm like, thank God it's over, but not like when we first opened and there was just little bitty plants and like 6 butterflies in there. But because of the nature of that building, it's gonna need a little bit of love after we open, just because it's been 4 boom lifts doing this simultaneously. So we put a new roof on. Why? Because the old one leaked and it was impossible to insure, and we have fans in there now, which is very nice. We're going to be putting new exhibits in. There's a ball wall going in at the bottom. There's 2 water tables. What is a water table, you might ask?
Yeah.
They're 10 feet by 44 inches wide, and they're a self-contained water unit. It's like a little pool. But in that pool, you have vortexes, you have water wheels, you have dams. You have the ability to manipulate the water and learn about, erosion and the water cycle and why we shouldn't pollute the finite 1% of water on Earth is drinkable.
1%.
And actually, it's less than that. It's 0.3%.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now,
Well,
a whole lot of it is too much salination. So you can't do that.
So out of almost all the world, 97% of the world's water is salt. 3% of it's fresh.
Right.
Out of that 3%, like 2% of it is, it's like inaccessible. So
Right.
the other 1%, some of it's underground, and the other
Right.
is accessible. And out of
Right.
that, it's like out of all of that, 1% of the world.
It's amazing.
Drinkable. So we shouldn't put dumb oil into it. It's or like affluent.
Yeah.
Seems, don't be like, we could be better than turtles, Terry. Like, Trey, like, they poop where they go. And I'm like, why? It's your one source of fresh water. Stop pooping in it, man.
Well, in human history, the things like that have gotten us the plague.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it started.
Well, actually,
was because
it's
the sewer,
more
the
like
sewer
cholera. But rats, that kill a lot of people, man. That kill a lot of people.
But the sewer, the Black Death or whatever that started in London was sewer water that got mixed in with the drinking water well.
The bubonic plague was caused by fleas, and they think it was they say there's both. There was 2, and that's why it was so bad. So one is transmitted by fleas, and the other is actually like COVID. You spread it through your own sneezing and coughing. So that's why it spreads so fast. The waterborne diseases are specifically that killed a lot of people in the Middle Ages was cholera. And dysentery. And there's a variety of parasites that you can get from nasty water. I mean, yeah, it's important to not just drink out of the river. Just don't.
Isn't it true that I've heard this before, that in the world, not in the United States, but in the world, the number 1 cause of death is dysentery?
Mosquitoes. Mosquito-borne illnesses kills more people.
But I mean, you actually die. You die of diarrhea.
Yeah.
Basically you can't keep anything in.
Yep.
Have y'all watched Ghosts, the
No.
TV show? Oh, the one of the is a Civil War character in there is a ghost, and he died of dysentery. And so they when you walk through him, you kind of you smell his.
Oh, gross!
Yeah.
I wouldn't want any of that. I mean, having access to fresh drinking water is a beautiful thing that should not be.
Take
it for granted.
Well, there's places in the world that it doesn't matter how wealthy you are.
Yeah.
You cannot open up a tap and get fresh drinking water. You can, if you're wealthy enough, you can get it brought in.
Right.
But you cannot walk up because the infrastructure is not
Well,
there. That you cannot just open a tap up and get.
But of course, humans, as humans are, we go live in the middle of a desert. There's nothing there,
but that there's lots of ways that they've adapted to these environments.
Oh, sure.
They put up this big giant,
Well, we are the most adaptable.
Where they take cold air and it goes down, and then they have
evaporation.
Yeah.
Right. Oh yeah.
Or they'll go up into the mountains and spray water when it's cold, and then they'll have it all throughout the summer. We get through a lot of things, I think, by just using our brains. That's why we're
we're
unique. We're all over the planet for that reason.
Yeah. Good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, we need to use it to maybe prevent us from going extinct. But other than that, we've done lots of cool stuff, man. So I feel like we are just as capable of fixing it as we were.
But I'm not sure we can do. But we can't do much about the big meteorite or whatever, right? That one you're screwed.
You gotta. Anytime I ever get sad, Terry, I just think about 3 million or 3 billion years from now, and the sun's gonna expand, and we're all toast anyway. So.
Yeah. So there you go.
It makes things like, oh man, I didn't get that email finished. It's fine. It's all good.
I was in an observatory in West Texas one time, McDonald Observatory in West Texas. If you've never been, it's a great place to go. And they were studying the sun at the time. Mm-hmm. And the guy said, the scientists say that the sun will supernova in 3 billion years. And a woman panically said, "Did you say 3 million or 3 billion?" I'm like, does it fucking matter?
No.
I mean, you ain't going to be around either way, lady.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
nobody you know is going to be around, and this will not affect your life.
We have not been on this planet very long in the grand scheme of things.
No.
Trying to put the concept of geologic time in your little human brain is so it's hard for me to understand.
Oh, it's
like on this world clock, it's 3 seconds. As long as we've Earth has existed, it's such a small amount of time. So I'd like to think that we're not. It's not as the Earth isn't as vulnerable as.
Oh, it's not as fragile as we think. I mean, the Earth's
I think
been around.
It'll right itself, but I don't think we will end up on top.
Well, speaking of, are we going to tilt?
Mother Nature's going to take care of herself.
Yeah, we might tilt.
Yeah,
and the poles change.
Well, Jennica, anything else about Riverbend Nature Center? Or you
man.
personally, you want to give all your personal details? I'm just kidding.
This is my Andra. No. Yeah. So if you've never been to Riverbend, which hopefully everyone's saying this, it's God, it's her again. And that's great, because that means you've been to Riverbend or you know what we're talking about. And that's awesome. Sorry if you're annoyed. But you can check up with what we're doing on Facebook, if you still use that, or Instagram. Or just to subscribe to our emails. We send out a bi-weekly email of all the stuff we're doing. If you have kids, we have Nature Preschool, young kids, 3 to 5. It's a relatively new program, and it's awesome. It's Monday through Friday. You can pick which days you want to go to. Fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic program. We're looking at starting an after-school program. We do summer camps every year. We do our next big event's going to be Not So Scary Halloween in October. So if you want to volunteer for that. Or if you're interested in sponsoring one of our events, we have a very special, the Museum of Osteology is coming in October.
The Museum of what?
Of Osteology.
Osteology. That sounds like bones.
It is the bones.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're going to be bringing different skeletons of people who have been murdered. So we can figure out how they died. So that'll be a unique program we've never done before. I'm really excited about that. It's morbid, but also maybe kind of cool. I don't know. I feel like mine's gonna be real obvious. It'd just be a prairie dog. Just anyway, you gotta watch out for them. Anyway, there's so much going on in this town, y'all. There's no reason to be bored. Anybody on Facebook oh God, this place, y'all just get out. There's so much going on.
We've already talked about a couple of events that are coming up. The art walk that's coming up, the farmers market.
Participate.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're unhappy, if you're oh my God, don't be that person. Go out and make it better.
Here's what I like to say: if you're bored,
it's your fault.
You're bored with yourself. So there you go.
Absolutely. How does everybody get a hold of you at Riverbend Nature Center?
If you want to get a hold of me specifically, my name is Jennica. There's only one of us there. So
Shockingly?
I know.
Yeah, imagine that.
Or if you get close with Jennifer or Jessica, they'll get you to me.
Yeah.
But at riverbendnaturecenter.org, you can like us on Facebook, Instagram. You can give us a call. Check out our website. Yeah, it's like I said, just come out. And if you've never been, please visit. And you don't have to come. If you come for a special event, you're going to think we're way busier than we actually are. So just come during our normal business hours. We have wonderful staff that will teach you more about Texas ecology than you ever wanted to know.
Sounds good.
All right. Cool. Well, I
Jennica
guess.
Lambert, thank you
yes.
very much. Riverbend Nature.
Yeah. Well, we can
always enjoy having you.
Do I
here.
just slink off now?
No, no. Well, we're
Yeah.
we got to wrap it up because we're already, we're at, there you go, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got a couple little things.
Oh,
to do,
okay.
but
All
that's
right.
it, so.
Well, you can hang. Or,
Good to see you.
I'm going to hug you. It's happening.
Yeah.
All
We're
right.
hugging on air.
Good to
all
see
right.
you.
Well, then,
As
well,
always.
then,
Thank you for having me, guys.
all right.
Bye.
All right. Good to see ya.
Tell Lucy I said
All right. I will. So.
bye.
All right.
Take care. We'll see you
Bye.
later.
All right.
All right. Well, next up, there's a new principal in Wichita Falls.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Peter Braveboy has been named the principal of Legacy High School.
Legacy. Okay.
Yeah. So Dr. Cody Blair was at Legacy High School, was a principal when it started. Last year was its first year.
Okay.
And helped get it open. And Dr. Braveboy has been in the WFISD for a number of years. He most recently was the principal at Barwise Middle School.
Okay.
From Grenada, actually.
Oh, wow.
Which, by the way, there's a number of Caribbean educators in the WFISD. They came over. I mean, Western State University several years ago had a Caribbean program.
Right.
And a lot of those people ended up as educators, and some very good educators. My children had a lot of them for staff or for teachers, and a lot of them have done very well and gone up through the ranks and are doing well in the WFISD. So congratulations to Dr. Braveboy. He's a really, really nice guy, and I think he'll do a great job over there.
Okay. But did he have a car called the Granada? Remember?
The Ford Granada.
There you go.
What a crappy car. Now, I do have an immigration plan I came up with.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to talk about that now? I mean, next week's going to be pretty full.
Well, what is it?
Okay. So here we go. And I've been saying this for a long time, but I've put it together, but I've actually put it together in a little bite-sized thing here.
Okay.
I'm so sick and tired of hearing people that are okay with people being exploited.
Well, yeah.
They talk about illegal people are here illegally. Most of the people, a lot of the people that are here illegally are here and they're being exploited.
Oh, yeah.
They're being paid less than minimum wage, or what they should.
There are, yeah.
They're having, if you get out of line, I'm going to hold your immigration status over your head. They're being sex trafficked at times.
That's a big.
They're being taken advantage of. You have women that are being taken advantage of because once again, say your boss has eyes for you, and you're illegal, and he wants a favor.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get deported.
Right.
So I hear these people who say, what about the people that clean our hotel rooms? What about the people that pick our lettuce and all that? Okay, I agree. We need immigrant workers here. We need people that come into our country, but we need to make them in the not in the shadows. We need to make it above board. We need to make sure they're not being exploited. So here's my whole theory. You pass a bill and say, okay, if you're here illegally and you're working, you have to have a job, a verifiable job. You've got 90 days to go to a processing center. And by the way, employers, you're going to be part of this too, so we're going to expect you to participate in this.
So you're going to have to basically out yourself a little bit, but also have some amnesty, if you will.
Exactly. You go to a processing center. As long as you do not have a criminal record that we can find in this country or another country, you are that day given a 12-month work permit.
Okay.
You don't leave. You go back to work, or you go to the house or whatever, and you go back to work on Monday. We're going to give you a Social Security number. I mean, we have computers now. It shouldn't take a long time to assign a Social Security number. No. You're going to start paying taxes. And by the way, your employer is going to get all this information as well. So you have 90 days. And if you're clean, you get a guest worker program for 12 months. And now you have 12 months to get it figured out and do it properly. Do it legally. Okay? Now, in 120 days, we start arresting employers that are still employing illegal aliens.
If you know about them.
Well, you go after them.
Right.
You start going after people. Let me tell you something. You want to curb this illegal immigration bullshit? You start going after people that are middle and upper middle class business owners that are taking advantage of people, and you start throwing them some bitches in jail who have families and things to lose their business, lose their livelihood. The fact is, if you have somebody who is here illegally, chances are they're here illegally because their situation at home was not all that great.
Yeah.
You catch them, you deport them back. Well, what's the worst that can happen? You're going to deport them back. But if you're a business owner,
oh yeah,
you have a lot to lose.
You're staying. You're not going anywhere.
And so in 120 days, so we're going to give everybody all this time here. We're basically going to give you 4 months to get your shit together, both sides.
Yeah.
And if you don't get your shit together by then, we're going to start throwing people in jail.
Now, are you saying then that you start a 90-day period? The administration or whoever comes out and says, okay, on August 1st, you have 90 days, and then you have 120 days, basically.
Right. If you're an employee, you have 90 days.
Okay.
If you're an employer, you have 120 days.
Okay.
Now, that would also incentivize employers to get those employees registered and get them legal.
Well, okay. Well, I mean that. So who are we going to get this to? This plan. Who are you?
Well, all it would take is somebody using their brain. I mean, this is not.
I know.
I mean, a dumb motorcycle shop guy from North Scott can figure this out.
No,
and
I know.
It's logical.
But how do we? But is there
sense.
anybody who's in a position to put a bill forward that would allow this to happen?
No. They won't. They're chicken shits. They are. That's the bottom line. They're all chickens. They're so worried about the exploitation, this and no. I'm trying to keep people from being exploited.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, this crap about it's going to raise prices on this. Okay, so you pay $3 more for your hotel room, or you pay 57 cents more for your head of lettuce. Yeah. So what?
Yeah.
So be it.
Well,
and if you can't afford it, don't buy it.
Well, they've already. I mean, with all of the stuff that they've been doing now, is they've apparently have shut down some farms and things because of that. But they're doing these sweeps.
But see, with my plan here, you wouldn't shut anything down.
Right. No,
you would just bring everybody in out of the shadows.
Yeah.
You make it all above board. All these people that you claim to care about, these illegal aliens that you claim to care about, I really care about them because I don't want them exploited.
Yeah. I get it.
You got to pay them at least minimum wage. You can't hold their immigration status over them.
Yeah. Well, I bet you the minimum wage thing is probably out the window right now because
I mean,
right?
and what you
for
also do
those
is,
people, yeah.
And what you do is you allow them to almost bargain for a fair wage. Mm-hmm. I mean, employer, you have to pay whatever the minimum wage is, but chances are, and this person is now legal, right? So they don't have to put up with your bullshit.
Yeah.
And if the going rate is $12 an hour,
right,
to work on a farm, as a basic person, it's $12 an hour.
Yeah. And
we all just understand that that's part of it. The fact is, it's not going to make your food prices go up exorbitantly.
No.
It's going to add. It's going to add pennies. It's going to add pennies in there, but those pennies will do so much for our economy. Not only that, now you're paying taxes. You're paying to the Social Security system.
Right. Oh yeah. No. Absolutely. Yeah. No. That sounds like a great plan.
It just makes too much sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Well, hopefully, maybe we can get Ronnie Jackson to look at it or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who would read it. I think that would go, oh yeah, that makes sense, but there's no way to get it passed.
Yeah.
And because it is the United States Congress is so dysfunctional.
Well, yeah. Well, that's.
And it doesn't matter if they're Republicans or Democrats. The body. Right. The body is so dysfunctional.
Well,
they have a hard time getting anything done because nobody wants to sit down and go and be logical. Not nobody. There are too many people who don't care anything about logic and don't care anything about fairness. And everybody come into it side and see, what are we going to do that's good for everybody? It's how do I keep my next job? How do I play politics here? How do I tear you down?
Yeah, no, I know.
And it's crap.
Well, and that's it. I think it all goes back to also a lot of it has to do with the term limits and having you've got a lot of power focused in at the top of the ranks there, because the vast majority, I mean, there is a lot of turnover in a lot of the areas, especially on the representative
limits.
side. But if you can do some term limits, get that. But that'll also make things simpler, because if it's the more complicated it is, the more entrenched you have to be, and you have to have experience.
Mm-hmm.
But we need it to be simpler. It should be a simpler process.
Mike and I spent untold hours discussing term limits and the reasons behind term limits and stuff like that on the radio over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about term limits almost as long as I was on the radio with him.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you know.
Well, and I'm
it's just crazy.
fundamentally I'm kind of against that idea. However, when they don't do anything about it, we need
what
to
are you
stop
against,
it.
What fundamentally against term limits?
No. Yes, because why put any limits on it? But again, that's in theory. But in practice, it doesn't work.
Well, the fact of the matter
And
is,
so I'm for term limits now.
The founders did not put term limits in on purpose, because who in the hell would want to leave your business?
Exactly.
When they wrote the Constitution, and when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, and when they made all these rules that they founded this country, people were agrarian. Yeah. You couldn't go to the grocery store and go buy all your food. You had to grow food. Somebody had to grow your food.
Right.
So who in the hell could leave their farm for 25 years and go to Congress? You went to Congress to serve.
Right.
You went to Congress, and that's why the House of Representatives are only 2-year terms.
Right.
They didn't expect anybody to stick around there for 20 years.
Nope.
They expected to go 2 years, maybe 4 years, and then go back to your farm, run your business, take care of your family, and that sort of stuff.
Well, but it's I don't know what they're making now, but it's a more than a livable wage. I mean, it's a good wage. It is a very, very good salary, even if it is in the D.C. area, because you've got all these perks and things to go along with it.
So many.
And so it makes it. I mean, again, there's a balance, but some people could do that for a little while, just like in state of Texas.
You can't make a living doing it.
No, you can't. Absolutely cannot. And they spend a lot of time down there, but it's every 2 years for a few months, because it's going to be. I guess we've got are we back on?
There's going to be an emergency session later this month.
But anyway, so I don't know. And we can sit here and talk about it all, but unless we're not even close to getting term limits, unless the only chance I think right now is if we do the Article 5 convention, which is there's still some effort to get that going, because Congress is not going to vote themselves into it to have term limits. So,
but what we need to do is need to demand solutions for immigration. Yep. This immigration thing, we've kicked that can down the road too many times. Everybody's afraid of it. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's come to a head.
Well, but something's happening anyway.
We need to have things. We need to have a fair and equitable system.
Yeah.
You have somebody like my wife, who came in here.
Oh yeah.
Waited her time, paid the money, went through the steps. She's here legally.
Yep. And if you happen to get here legally and you're able to enter our military service, there's ways for you to get an accelerated path to citizenship.
I had a customer last week who lives in Lawton now, and he is a Puerto Rican. He was born and raised in Puerto Rico.
Right.
But he joined the United States military.
Right.
And became a citizen.
Yeah, well, so Puerto Ricans. See, that's what I'm a little confused on how Puerto Ricans.
They're territorial. They're a protected territory,
right?
But they can join the military.
Yeah, well, no, I knew that.
He did join the military, and I think he's a full-fledged citizen now.
Okay, well cool.
So, yeah.
All right.
We're going to talk about next week's guest?
Yes, we got Steve Garner and James Frank. They're going to be on. Steve's going to, I guess, hang out for the whole.
Yeah, Steve's going to be on with us at 7:30, and then James is going to come in at 8. And so, we're going to have to rearrange them. We're going to have to put 4 chairs out back here.
There we go.
And we got a 4th microphone. We'll do that. Most of the time, we're not going to have. We'll only have one guest, but this is going to be kind of a special time here.
Right.
And coming up, just so you know, on guest, David Spiller, who's also a state representative out of Jacksboro. He's going to be on with us. Jim Johnson, Wichita County judge, will be on with us. Mike Mitchell, who's a local. He's been in a lot of different things.
Oh yeah, but
he's going to be talking about local housing and local politics.
Right, because he's on a board he's on a board. Several boards. He's involved very much in the community.
And then I've also gotten back and forth with our new city manager, and plan to have him on sometime in August. So we've got a lot of people coming up. Ron Kitchens. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep,
Ron Kitchens is going to be on with us. I need to mark him down. I believe he's also coming on this month. I need to mark him down. So a lot of people coming up, a lot of great things. So please stay tuned. Check us out.
All right. Well, thanks for our sponsors, of course, Eddie Hills Fun Cycles, 401 North Scott in Wichita Falls, and MacTech Solutions right here, your Apple source for pretty much anything.
That's right.
And so
except for apples.
So,
you can buy anything Apple here except for the damn fruit.
there you go. So, all right. Well, thanks for supporting a local business like ours, because that's important. We love that. So,
yeah, don't forget to follow, like, and share each episode with your friends. And it's one of the best ways to keep the local conversation going.
there you go. And share this. Yes, absolutely share it, please. And we'll be back next Friday, but we're going to be live. Again, we're going to be able to interact with you on the screen and everything because, again, new software, still learning it, how it works and all that. So,
and as our dear friend Mike's always said, we'll see you down the road.
oh, yes. And if I'm ready.
You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking